I'm back. I'm gonna do a second one. I tried to do it and I fucked up. I just kept going on and on and on and on. So this video is about not about capitalism. There's nothing wrong with capitalism. True capitalism, like capitalism that is honest, where company A and company B are in competition trying to get your dollars, because that's how capitalism should work. I'm talking about the dirty capitalism that happens today. And what I mean by that is, I guarantee, if you guys see the movie The Informant with Matt Damon, I think that's what it's called. He goes on to say that all the corn producers in the world meet once, a year, and they fix the prices. They all fix the prices. And it got me thinking, like I was thinking about this before, but that movie really made it clear. I didn't know that type of thing happened. And the movie itself I didn't really care for what happened to the story, but the most interesting thing to me was that price fixing shit they were talking about. And it made me realize, well, what happens if every single capitalist company or government or whatever, they all do this? They all price fix everything. Instead of working against each other, they're working with each other, and we're all paying the fucking price. It's the thing with the oil. I mean, the first thing that happened in the war in Iraq is they captured the oil fields. I remember one soldier going, yeah, we got the oil fields. Woo. So we captured the oil fields. What's the first thing that should happen? Gas prices should go, because, they're not having to pay for the oil anymore. They're just fucking plain old taking it. And that's not what's happening at all. Like, they're not. Frustrates me to no end. Anyway, you notice that oil prices would go up, and they would say there's instability in the region, or there's a hurricane or a refinery's down. There was always an excuse of why gas prices went up. And after a while, they just stopped making excuses. Now everyone's just used to paying, Canadian $1.20 for gas or $1.30 for gas, which is very expensive. And the theory was that if gas prices, keep going up, it's because of peak oil. Oil is not cheap to get out of the ground anymore, so we have to go further to get it, which costs more money, which means the oil prices just keep going up and up and up and up. But they're not going up and up and up and up. You can't tell me that we capture the oil fields and then oil prices, the oil companies make triple profits, like triple more than they've ever made in their entire existence. Like, that doesn't make a lick of fucking sense. So I hate dirty capitalism. I hate the stock market. There's another thing that is evil beyond compare. It's ridiculous. One guy actually said, I don't know if this guy was assassinated, but he was going on to say it's not the governments that control the world, it's Goldman and Sachs, it's the fucking stock market. And it is the worst thing I think that's ever been invented. It's awful. Awful, 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 awful. Anyway, the fucking dirty capitalism, this is how we fight it, is you don't encourage companies that are evil. So what I would like to do, I would like to see everybody join. Everybody's on the internet, like any big cause that happens. You spread the word. I'm just an amateur dude. I spend a lot of my time working on my comic book, which I'm going to put on YouTube very soon. I'm going to add voices. It's going to be awesome. But I don't have the means to make a cute video or to, make a beautiful edited whatever, hire actors or all that shit. But here's the idea is everybody maybe joins me on Facebook. I make a Facebook page, not called the Better Business Bureau, but the Better Consumer Bureau. So all the consumers join this page, and we meet once a week, and we say, okay, who's been following the news? What company do you guys hate? What company do you know is absolutely, because they're all evil, but who's the worst? Who's the worst of the worst of the worst? And then we say, okay, the Gap. The Gap is useless. The Gap has no purpose existing. Their clothes are made in sweatshops. It's overpriced. Some people like the fashion, whatever. They're just clothes. To me, I don't give a shit. Fashion is the last thing on my list when it comes to buying clothes. I just want something that's comfortable, that's cheap, that's going to last. Those three things. Fuck everything else. I'm not a flashy guy. So basically everybody says, okay, we all stop shopping at the Gap. The Gap's profits just crash. And all of a sudden the Gap is, grasping at straws. They're trying to figure out, okay, what the fuck is the problem? What's going on? Why are we losing so much money? And then they come to find out, and will very publicly say it's the Better Consumer Bureau. We've determined your company are a bunch of assholes. You guys keep raising your prices. You guys make all your clothes in sweatshops, and don't say you fucking don't, because you absolutely do. Everything is made in sweatshops. iPods, that's another thing. Made in sweatshops where guys work 16 hours a day and, no bathroom breaks or whatever. It's absolutely ridiculous. But you gotta have that new iPod, I got one, by the way, but I won it at a Christmas party. And I also dropped it and cracked the fuck out of the screen. I don't know if you can see cracks running. Anyway, I smashed the shit out of it. I don't know if you can. I got Blade as my picture. I can't really tell. Oh, yeah, see, okay, you can see the cracks right there. Anyway, I wouldn't have paid for this thing. It was $200. I wouldn't have paid for it. But because I got it free, it's handy. It's like a little, you can surf the internet. It's got notes you can put on, like, because I forget things. It's good to have a notepad where you can write down things to remember, which is cool. But like I said, I would not have paid for this thing. I never. It's a good music player and all that, but not really that big of a deal to me. I got a computer. I got a laptop. It's nice. It's a nice gadget to have, but not worth $200. Anyway, so yeah, Better Consumer Bureau. We all get on Facebook. We all, say if we all got on the same page and really cut profits out of somebody would notice, and all of a sudden, all the companies would get together and go, "Oh my God, this Better Consumer Bureau, they're really fucking up our prices. They're really taking a piece of us." I would kill to see a Gap location, and I'm not just picking on the Gap. I'm just saying Gap's the first useless company I thought of, because we don't need 500 million clothing outlets. We don't. 10 at the most. You go from the cheap stuff to the good stuff. You don't need anything else. Like even 50. I mean, we don't need 10,000 though. I mean, whatever. How many other millions of fucking clothing outfitters there are? Anyway, all of a sudden the Gap closes in Moncton, and then we're like, we did that. Oh my God. And then all of a sudden the other companies are starting to worry. And then we start looking at other companies that are fucking around. Like, for example, oil companies. There's, BP, there's Shell. I don't know who's who. I don't know, because some of them are subsidiaries of other oil companies. They'll say, like, don't buy gas on such and such a day. And it doesn't matter if you do that, because you're just going to buy gas the next day. That's not the point. The way to do it would be to only buy gas from, they're all evil, but say pick one. Okay, don't buy any gas from BP or any of its subsidiaries. All of a sudden you find out, which you can easily find out, who owns what. So you avoid every single one of BP's oil outlets on Wednesday. Every Wednesday. Do not get your gas from there. Go to the competitors. All of a sudden BP's prices, they're going to notice every Wednesday. Their fucking profits are shit. And then they're going to freak out and say, what, is this going to be a regular thing? We're losing a seventh of our, or maybe even 2 days a week. Because you're never going to be able to stop it. Like, there's always going to be people that are not in the loop, that are just going to go get gas wherever. But if enough people do this, they're going to notice their bottom line is affected. And we're going to tell them it is us. And we have, I don't know, let's say like 100 million members, 100 million people, which is way more than I ever expect would join. But if 100 million people are online and check this thing and take 5 minutes out of their time to see, okay, here's the corporations that are evil, don't shop at any of these places. Here's an FU to all of them. And then all of a sudden we're in fucking control, which is what it should be. Governments and banks and corporations do not exist without us. They are shit without us. They have no power without us. They only can do what you let them do. So useless things, like there's so many useless things in the world that we do not need, that should have disappeared a long time ago, like wrestling. You really want to watch two guys pretend to hurt each other? And you pay money for this? Really? You can download the UFC for free, if you're into the torrents and stuff. That shouldn't even exist anymore. Yeah, I know some people like the storylines. Have you ever actually watched the storyline for wrestling? It's fucking... They have just complete nonsensical baloney. Crappy acting, crappy everything. And then the fighting on top of it is fake a lot of the time. Like, why not pony up and go actually watch the UFC if you want to watch fighting, because then that's actual fighting or whatever, that type of thing. So anyway, there's so many bullshit things that happen in the world, like the bailouts for the banks. How recently, if you watched that Michael Moore movie about the capitalism, how I learned to love capitalism, I can't remember what it's called, but a very good point was made that they wanted the bank bailouts, $700 billion or whatever. Everyone voted no. It didn't go through. And all of a sudden, they just went ahead and pushed it through anyway. Like, without the permission of all the taxpayers. The taxpayers said no. They went ahead and did it anyway. And then they said, okay, well, you guys just took $700 billion of our money. What was it for? Why did the banks need it? They said, we didn't ask. You didn't ask. It's just a fucking cash grab. That's all it was. They thought we could get away with it. No one's going to say anything. And no one did. No one rioted. This is what should have happened, man. Everyone should have just gone to local branches of whatever banks and just taken every dollar you have out of those banks. And I wish that would happen. I wish, there's a lot of small banks that closed, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like the big banks. Like Bank of America was named in there. There's a couple other banks that were just awful. It just took all this money and gave nothing back because they knew they could get away with it. And I'm hoping with the internet, with things becoming a lot more public, a lot easier than they used to be, and hopefully there's a lot more whistleblowers, that this shit comes to a halt. And I would love for the day when corporations have to tread a very fine line to even stay open, because there's so many laws against it, but it's not the way it is. Of course, you know, the companies have enough money to throw money around to just buy whatever they want, like buy senators, buy lobbyists, buy whatever. And I just can't wait for the day when it's not going to matter, because the internet, everyone's watching like say Anonymous decides to start getting into the spying business and just spying on everybody who's in a big corporation, like, you know, that type of thing. They have, and everything is done over the internet or through the phones or whatever. And all of a sudden they like WikiLeaks type of thing. They start posting, here's what Exxon, their new plan to make money is, and it's awful. It's like totally shit for the environment, and they just don't care. And all these people are going to get cancer from from the oil sands or whatever. You know, it's all carcinogenic. Like in Alberta, there's just miles and miles and miles of these oil sands, because they take it as a process. They take the oil out of the ground, and they get this toxic shit left over, and they just let it sit there. And there's miles and miles and miles and miles of this stuff. It's like, why isn't somebody doing something about it? You know, somebody's going to have to clean that up eventually. But to me, it's almost like front end, make a lot of money, back end, let the environmentalists clean it up. Like, so I'm just ranting right now. Another point I wanted to make is, if you look at companies, they have, I think it's basically two main sides. They have the front end, which is the PR, which is the, you know, the fucking company taglines, which infuriate me. And then you have the back end, which is if you actually go onto the floor of whatever company, like say if it's an electronics company, here's how the electronics are made, here's all the dirty shit they do to make more money on the stock market, da-da-da-da, here's all the, you know, political fucking maneuvering they do to get everything done that they want, you know, to go around to make more money, just whatever. So every company that has this beautiful PR line, or has the same thing with politicians, they have a beautiful PR line, you know, buzzwords and, you know, whatever the word clips there, you know, like buzzwords or whatever, that type of thing. They have so much dirty shit in the background that they're not telling. You know what I mean? Every corporation's like this. Every politician's like this, except maybe Ron Paul. I mean, I don't even agree with all of his policies, but he's the only one that's saying, I am not going to do everything like everybody else. And who knows? Maybe he'll get into office like Barack Obama got into office, and everyone said, "Oh my God, black president! This is the greatest thing." But he's basically just continuing what Bush did. He might just be different face, same policies. You know, just, and you don't really think that, well, actually not much has changed, you know, it's just, ooh, new president, so I get a new perspective, he looks different, he sounds different, he talks different, so hey, maybe this is all different. But you come to think of it, it's not different at all, because they're never going to elect somebody who's not going to play ball. That's not how politics work. They don't elect somebody for change. They always say that, oh, elect me, I'll make everything different, and they pretty much, as soon as they get elected, go and do the opposite of everything they said they were going to do. Like, this happens pretty much every single time, and I don't understand how everybody keeps falling for it. It's like every so many years we have elections, you know, and the fucking politicians are glad-handing everybody and saying, oh, I want to make a difference, and here's what I'm going to do, my fellow Americans, and respect, honor. They say all this shit. They get into office, and they're like, I don't have to do anything now. Now that I'm in power, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make money, 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 money. And everybody's in on it. Like the pharmaceutical companies are in on it. Pump us full of really bad drugs, and then also the war on drugs doesn't do anything. If you watch this movie that it's one of Bill Hicks's friends made, called something or other drug war. I can't remember. Anyway, it's basically saying that the drug war is unwinnable, and the way they do things is because they fill up prisons. They want to get every single person who's smoking weed in jail, which should not be a jail crime, because a lot of the prisons are privatized, so they make money. It's like $40,000 per incarcerated person, and on top of that, they pimp out all of these criminals to do like manual labor for like 5 cents an hour or something like that. So they're making money off the money they're making. It's absolutely ridiculous. It just infuriates me. So this is why the drug war is never going to win. They don't want the drug war to win. It's basically like he says in the movie, it's war against poor people, because a lot of poor people do drugs more than anybody else. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, it's so much to get angry about in the world, and there's so little that gets done. I mean, as much as I would love to, you know, not be in society, just quit my job and go, you know, make an example, I can't do it. You know, not I'd have to be really creative in a way of doing it, make a nice video or whatever. So this is all I can do is suggest to everybody else, why don't we get on the same fucking page? Why don't we try to fight against dirty capitalism? You know, it's the only thing I can suggest, besides sitting here and just ranting. That's it. That's all I can do.